Well, it's a pleasure to welcome Joyce DeJong to MSU Today for the first time. Joyce is an MSU alumna, and she's the brand new dean of MSU's renowned College of Osteopathic Medicine. So, Joyce, welcome back to your alma mater.
Thank you. It's really exciting to be back. I love the energy on the campus. This is it's really thrilling.
A cool circle of life, I'm sure. But
It
before
is.
we talk some more about that, a little bit of your background before coming home and maybe some career highlights.
Yeah. So I'm a lifetime Michigander. I spent some time in Atlanta, but never changed my permanent residence. So I feel like I've always been around. I grew up on the west side of the state, and then came over to Michigan State for medical school. I went to Grand Valley State University for my bachelor's degree. My parents did not attend college. My mother graduated from high school, and my father didn't, so I was a first-generation college attender. My sister and I both went. So, after high school, I got my bachelor's degree, and then applied and came to MSU COM. And following that, I did my internship at what was then Metropolitan Hospital in Grand Rapids. And I also did my residency through Michigan State University, which was also in Grand Rapids, through the hospitals there at the time. They were Butterworth, Blodgett, St. Mary's, and Metropolitan. I think most of them have different names now. And so I did my fellowship in forensic pathology, so a little bit of an unusual path back to the deanship here. But I was practicing in Lansing at Sparrow Hospital for the first good chunk of my career, and then was recruited to develop a pathology department at Western Michigan University Homer Stryker, MD School of Medicine, which we like to just call WMed because it's shorter. Anyway, so I was the founding chair of the pathology department there, and it was remains robust and successful. So when this position opened up, actually the recruiting firm reached out to me. There was a pretty rigorous process through the recruiting, and in the end, here I am back home again.
Right. And did I read that before you got interested in medicine, though, you thought you might go into law as a young woman?
Yes, that was the original plan. So I was on the high school debate team, took the minimal amount of math and science, all right, because I wasn't going to need that necessarily. Okay, you too, huh, Russ? and then I took a year off after. Actually, I started working at Metropolitan Hospital when I was still in high school, and the position was the lab secretary, and that was 5 to 9 at night, and I could go and do that and still make it to school. So I was working in the hospital there, and then they needed an autopsy assistant on the weekends, which is very different from the lab secretary. But I said I could probably do that. I thought that was pretty interesting. And so I started as an autopsy assistant then when I was still in high school, and carried on doing that part-time all the way through undergrad. But it was in that year in between high school, in that gap year, where I started looking around thinking, this medicine thing's pretty interesting. I kind of like this. And so I ended up doing that. I still think sometimes that I ended up in forensic pathology because we deal a lot with the legal community, and maybe I was going back to my roots there. I don't know if that's really what happened.
Yeah.
But when I chose pathology as a profession, it was really because I felt most comfortable in the laboratory and in the pathology department. So that's how I ended up there.
And why was MSU the place for you to come for medical school?
Well, I'll tell you, this was I wanted to be an osteopathic physician. I wanted to be a DO. I was, if you go back, I was delivered by a DO. My family doctor, it was the family doctor, he delivered my siblings and me, and he would make house calls. He was our doctor. And we, when I went and had my tonsils out, that kind of stuff, we went to the osteopathic hospital, everything. And that was what I knew, and had a real appreciation for what they bring to medicine, and with the additional really holistic approach and the OMM, the osteopathic manipulative medicine, that's the path I wanted. So fortunately, I was able to attend Michigan State University, close to home, close to family. It's in state, and I'll confess this. I had a child 3 days before I started medical school. Still managed to get out in 4 years. But
Wow.
yeah, that was more, I think it's a culture change. Fortunately, I'm hoping women don't do that anymore. I was just afraid I was going to lose my spot. And that's all I had wanted for the last 4 years was to get in. And then I thought, oh no, they're going to give it away. They're going to think I don't care about medicine and why am I having children. But I think that culture has shifted significantly since then.
Well, Dean DeJong, this might be a good time to ask you, talk about the differences between a DO and an MD and the osteopathic versus human medicine, which MSU also has.
Right. And, I think that they both bring something. We clearly have a significant shortage of physicians in general, okay? And when I look at the osteopathic profession, and one of the reasons I came back was because I'm going to digress here for a second.
Sure.
But one of the reasons I came back was as a forensic pathologist and a medical examiner, people tend to look at what we do and they always think about the homicides and the high profile cases, which yes, that is a part of it. But really the biggest part is our public health, the public health aspects and the information that we provide through our death investigations. And that really demonstrated for decades in my career how we have some major deficits in our healthcare system. And I'm not the first one to discover that, but also when this opportunity came up, I wanted to be able to do something to address that, and to address those deficits, and to address the lack of primary care doctors. I think it's if you've even when I move into a community, when I moved to Kalamazoo, trying to find a primary care doctor was incredibly challenging. That somebody that could see me sooner than 8 months from now. So that is one of the true reasons I came back. The differences between the two traditionally have been that the osteopathic physicians have a more holistic focus on the patient, a focus on the entire structure function of the body. They have we take additional training. Our training mirrors very much that's what's taught in the allopathic schools. The allopathic schools, they graduate MDs and we graduate DOs. But so the difference there, we using our OMM, we can treat different things. We can treat musculoskeletal disorders and contribute to so many other conditions, and increase mobility and function for our patients. So it's an additional set of tools. Although I was a forensic pathologist, I think one of the greatest things about osteopathic medicine is that for Michigan State, for example, if you look at our graduates since the mid-'80s, for example, the vast majority go into primary care, meaning that would be a family practitioner, a pediatrician, an internist, OB-GYN. So that's a big attraction for me because that does we tend to draw people more interested in primary care. And I think it's also great for the state of Michigan that when you look at all of the primary care doctors, if you could include the specialties I mentioned, about 75% of them, I shouldn't say 75%. 75% of our graduates stay in Michigan, but about half of the primary care doctors in the state with those groups are COM grads and DOs. So I think that it's a great institution for being able to produce physicians to address these needs. And we have the added PA program now, which is also one more tool to assist in caring for our patients.
So what made you want to be the dean of your alma mater now?
Right.
Like you said, you reached out. You probably weren't thinking about it, but what made you want to do the job?
Yeah. I thought about it somewhat when the college was going through sort of their dark years, if you will, that were and it was hard. It was heartbreaking to watch because it's an institution that I love. It was heartbreaking, not just. I mean, it's heartbreaking for everything that happened there. All right, and especially for especially for the victims. But coming out of that, I thought about it then, but saw that the school had selected Dean Amalfitano, and I think that was definitely the right choice. He has definitely stabilized this college, and I walk in to a very stable situation and a strong college with great people. So this time around, when the opportunity came up, it wasn't something that I had not contemplated before, but I also wasn't the individual who was going out looking to be the dean of some school. If I was going to be the dean, it was going to be here. And if I wasn't the dean here, I wasn't going to be a dean. So it was more, I think, a love of the university and a love of what the opportunity that this college provided for me and has provided for thousands of students, that I wanted to take this. And I felt pretty comfortable with what I did at Western as taking a department that started with one person, that would be me, and developing it into something much larger. With good research, good education, great clinical services. And so I thought I want to take that toolkit elsewhere. And it'll be a very different job and will require new tools for me, but I'm excited about it.
Well, let me ask you a two-part question. As you get started, some maybe of your short-term goals, and if you've had some time to think about some longer-term goals for the college.
Yeah, and so I guess I'd like to point out that this is day 4 for me. So I haven't done a lot yet. We got a new coffee machine, but we upgraded the Keurig. But no, beyond that, some of the short-term goals, and I have to be careful about focusing too much on just the low-hanging fruit. But there are some things that we can do. I definitely want to improve our services for our faculty by creating a position for an associate dean of faculty affairs, or but whether it's associate or assistant, but a dean of faculty affairs, because that's a significant need for the institution. The faculty are requesting it. Other short-term goals, really to and this feeds into a long-term goal, and that long-term goal is we need a new building. Yeah. And that's there's a lot going on in that building. It's not so simple as just moving COM. This is Fee Hall. There's a lot happening there, and I think it was brought up at probably 90% of my interviews when I was going through the process of coming here, when I'd ask people, like, what do you think you need here? And answer number 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 is usually the building. But it's a space issue. So I also want to really ramp up our development within the college to try and fund this. And I think, too, we need a space, but we also have to have this space that's accessible and usable by many other colleges as well. And however that looks, we're still working through all of that. Like I said, it's day 4, but I tend to be a bridge builder and very collaborative. So I want to look at the institution and talk to others and figure out what we can do to facilitate that process. And obviously the biggest factor is most likely the money, but in the short term, I want to get working on that. Yeah.
Well, how would you describe the evolving mission of the college? We've been talking about it throughout, but how would you describe it?
Yeah. So the mission, it really is largely a good part of it's focused on our students and creating an outstanding experience for our students, which the college has done to a great extent. The students come here. We are by far the strongest research college for all osteopathic medical schools, by far, and that's a huge draw here. Going back, part of that mission of creating a great experience for the students, one of the top reasons why students come here is research. One of the top reasons why they don't come here are the physical facilities. And so that's part of it, too, of improving that and making certain that our students are well prepared for this evolving landscape in healthcare, so that because there's so many changes going on and there's just so much medical knowledge that comes out that's important to know, but also how do you navigate these waters of all the hospitals and healthcare systems that are, some of them are struggling and others are there's mergers and there's acquisitions and a lot of moving parts, and giving our students the toolkit to navigate that.
And what about the students and sort of the challenges and opportunities they're going out into the world of medicine? How is it evolving? What are they facing that maybe you didn't when you came out,
Yeah, I think they're facing, I think whatever they land up or whatever the students are heading into, that's their normal for right now, and that's what they'll be most comfortable with because they'll figure that out. But I think, too, there's going to be a lot of changes. There's changes in how healthcare is funded. There's additional needs that I think our students are really focused on handling, for example, and participating in. And one is like rural healthcare, getting out into the rural spaces, but also in the urban areas with our street medicine programs. We've had some very early discussions about care for refugees and what can we do on that and those areas. I think that the students are having those experiences, and I believe that it also it speaks to them because they see the needs of the healthcare system.
Final question, Dean DeJong, and I know we could have a conference on this, but in a general, both sort of the challenges and opportunities facing the college moving forward and maybe even MSU and higher ed. What are your thoughts in that area?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of opportunities. We have some new partnerships that have formed. I'm well aware of the Henry Ford partnership that I'm pretty excited about getting involved with. I think that's a big direction for the university, and it has to be a big direction for the college as well. But having said that, we have multiple partners all over the state, and we have local partners, and we have, it's one of the strengths of our institution and of our college and of the university is that we have relationships with nearly every hospital in the state, it seems. The challenges of that, too, though, is that it becomes a little bit, the concerns would be is if, for example, we'll just say, Sparrow Hospital, which was purchased by University of Michigan, we have students who train at Sparrow Hospital, and so you're looking at that thinking, are we going to lose our training spots for the students? And which is important for us. And so with multiple medical schools in the state, and that number increased over the last decade or two, that all of those students have to train somewhere. And so I think that's one of the areas that might be of concern. But I feel really optimistic about the university. I feel like we have a strong president coming in. Yep. I think that there's room for a lot of additional collaboration and work on things like concussions and that's actually an area where I have an interest as well. So I look forward to that transition.
Yes. It's been great getting to know you a little bit, Dean DeJong. Just as we close, some final thoughts for Spartan Nation as you get started. What do you want them to know about you and the college?
I think that, final thoughts are that I'm here. We're really excited to get going. I feel an energy at COM that other people have told me too, that they sense this is a new day. They sense there is that we're emerging from some dark times. We're very stable. We're very strong. And we're just looking forward to doing great things.
Awesome. Well, again, Dean DeJong, great meeting you today.
You too, Russ. Thank you.
That's Joyce DeJong, the new dean of MSU's renowned College of Osteopathic Medicine. You can find out a lot more by just going to osteopathicmedicine.msu.edu. And I'm Russ White. This is MSU Today.